got my first. I'm welcome to the live stream. I look extremely tired. I played last night. I got home. I was kind of excited about the site. I started working, and so I didn't get a ton of sleep. So how are you? Thanks for coming into this live stream. It's Canada Day here in Canada, July 1st. Canada is celebrating 150 years. So I thought because of that, maybe it would be a good idea to teach some guitar riffs. So that is the plan here today. Some Canadian
Canada's celebrating.
Didn't make much sense. Haley, how are you? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. So here's my plan of attack today. Like all the other live streams, you know, it's open to go wherever we want. I mentioned last week we were going to spend today's live stream on some Linkin Park songs from Hybrid Theory, but then I realized it was Canada Day today, and I thought, I can't. I'm Canadian. I'm living in Vancouver. It's Canada Day. It's beautiful out today. I can't not do so. So the Linkin Park will be next week. So today we're going to do Neil Young. To do some Neil Young, Canadian. Bryan Adams. Could we not do Bryan Adams? There's a huge list of all kinds of great bands like Rush. I'm not going to do any Rush today. That will take a whole thing. But I'm actually going to teach a part of a Shawn Mendes tune, which I know is a little odd when we're talking about, but he is Canadian and he's very popular at the moment. And the one riff in Treat You Better, Treat Me Better, Treat You Better is kind of cool and has something kind of cool. Akshay, how are you? Nice to see you. I'm glad you're in here. So anyway, if you're joining us, click the link in the description so you can register. It's free and it will let you in and get this material. I actually did quite a bit of material for this particular live stream, but let me see how easy we can, because I did not post the link to the material, but you need to be registered for that. So I was going to do Summer '69, but I just thought of one because when I was a kid, Bryan Adams was huge. The Cuts Like a Nice album was gigantic when I was a preteen or early teen. Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you? Amazing. I love that you're amazing. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's Canada Day. It's beautiful out. I'm looking forward to getting a lot done today on the site. I played last night. I have to play again tonight. And that's all good. Yeah, anyway, so it was a very inspirational record to me at that time because I was just starting out on guitar, and I learned a lot of the riffs off that particular record. And I was just, as I was sitting here, I was thinking, I want to show you this one really quick because I think this is so cool. I don't know how many people will remember this or know it. I think that's such a great riff. Super simple. Want to learn it? Let's do it. Really easy. So we're actually going to put our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. It's going to be a B. We're just going to go string 6, string 5, string 4. So that's basically going E, B, and then D. So it's kind of interesting about that. It's kind of giving us the sound of like an E minor 7th chord. Mind you, it's missing the G. It's missing the 3rd, but I guess it could be E dominant 7th too, but because of the key, as we'll talk about in just a minute, it would be E minor 7th. So we're just going, this is also kind of a cool pattern that if you've been following any of my other lessons, you'll know we talk about this a bit, where if we're playing 8th notes, so we have 8 in one measure, right? Quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and is 8 notes. If I play a pattern of 3, so 3 notes, so in this case I'm going 6, 5, 4, I'm going to do it twice. Now, I can't do the pattern a full 3rd time, otherwise I would have 9 notes, right? Which is a cool sound in itself, but different. So if I do a group of 3 again, and then a group of 2, then I can loop the pattern. So I'm going 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5. Kind of neat. So again, all I'm doing is holding just my first finger there on that second fret of my A string to give me a B. I'm just going 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4. So the riff is really easy. We do that for one measure, so really just one time. Then you drop your second finger in. It's like you're going to play a G chord. And for that one, though, we're only going to play just 6, 5, 4. We're going to slide it up a whole step. And we're going to go 6, 5, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So since we had 3 notes here, we have 5 notes in this pattern. 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 notes. So it looks just like your G did. I just moved it up, which makes it part of an A chord. Because we have that D in there, it's kind of giving us the sound of like an A sus4. We don't need to be overly concerned with the names of those right now, unless anybody wants to know, in which case, you know, just pipe in there to the chat and let me know. Again, anybody just joining us, follow the links in the description. To register, it's free, and the material goes along with this. Secrets by One Republic. Yeah, the wait. Yeah, kind of similar, eh? Did you learn that one actually? That's a great tune. I need another story. Something to get off my chest. My life is kind of boring. I can't confess. There's all the times I need red. Don't remember the words. It's a great tune, though. I actually did a cover that you maybe already know, but I did a cover of that on here. Well, I taught it on here, but I also did a cover on here with a student, Jeff Miller, that's a few years ago now. He went on to study music in college, and now he's in the city playing, and he's writing some very kind of unique, interesting stuff. Trying to think now, I'd love to give him a little plug if I can think of the name of his thing he's playing with. Maybe it'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, here, let's finish this. Not much else to it. So we had this basically we're saying E minor 7th, it's just one finger. 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5. We're dropping our second finger in to give us part of a G chord, but we're just going to go 6, 5, 4. Going to slide it up a whole step to go 6, 5, 4, 5, 6. So that's the riff. Actually, were you in here last week? Were you one of the ones interested in doing the Linkin Park? So I don't know if you came in when I said that I was. We're going to save Linkin Park for next week just because it was Canada Day, and I thought I should do some Canadian riffs. Anyway, that's the main riff of the tune, which I think is such a cool riff and pretty easy to play and fun. The chords in it are just going E minor to G, D to A. Cause when the feeling's right, I'm gonna run all night. I'm gonna run to you. Cause when the feeling's right, let's kind of hide that part. Anyway, E minor, G, D, A. It's kind of like the second and fourth chord are anticipated, so they come in a little bit early. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1. Excuse me. Yikes. Yeah, what was the riff too? Actually, that I was thinking of doing. Shoot, I can't remember. It's that one for I'm about to break, and I'm one step closer to the edge, and I'm a break up. Oh, jeez. Had all these harmonics in it that I thought would make for a very cool lesson. But we're gonna do that one next week because again, I mean, it doesn't really matter. If you're really interested in that one, we could totally do that one now too. But that was my kind of plan when I realized, oh, it's Canada Day. I should do some Canadian riffs. So there's a Bryan Adams one and another one that's on the site. And normally it's in the paid part, but for today, if you register, it's actually in the free limited access membership. for a little while, just to go along with this stream. And that, of course, is I got my first real 6-string on it. So another really simple one. I think it's just a deep power chord. And now I haven't heard the song in a while, like the actual record. But I don't think that F sharp's in there. So I think if you play your regular deep chord, but we don't hear this first string, so I just leave that finger off, you know, and then my high E is kind of blocked just the way those strings are sitting. And then this one's going chord, 2 Ds, chord again, and then a total of 12 Ds, because so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you have 4 Ds at the end of that. And then you have a whole measure of eighth notes D. So 8 plus those 4, so 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it goes to an A chord. And now you're riding on the A string, but the same rhythm. Pretty easy, right? And that's that whole I got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. Was the summer of '69. Me and some guys from school. Anyways, that one's kind of cool. And then it has a oh, when I look back now, the summer seemed to last forever. It's got that little part that's going B minor to A, D to G. Those were the best days of my life. So again, follow the link in the description, and those chords are all on that page. When I look back now, summer seemed to last forever. Those are the best days of my life. And that little part there, if you just want to do that really quick. Sorry, something's bugging me there with my tuning. So all that is the D sus2. So it looks like your D power chord again, but you don't have that second finger in there. So I don't know if I even said that a minute ago, but when we don't play this F sharp, it's really just a D power chord. It's much like this D power chord or this D power chord we might play in 10th position of our low strings or in 5th position of 4 and 5. So, and we're just going 1, 2, 3. Then you put the second finger on the first string, and you go 1, 2, 3 again. Then you put your pinky down. Sorry. So now we do have a regular D chord when you. Then you put your pinky in and make it a D sus4. Then back to the D. So again, because those are patterns of 3, we have to do something a little bit different to make it work out and fit in that measure. So again, we're just going 1, 2, 3, right? And D sus2, D, D sus4, D. And the last part, we're going to go back to that open E, but we're going to go from 1 to 3. Then we're going to make it a D chord and go 1 to 3 again. That will make it all work out even. Now, when it switches to the A chord, it's actually very, very similar. So you have your regular A here like this, right? But you take away that middle finger, it gives us an A sus2. See if we can get that. And now I'm going to also, my pick's going to go to 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to go A sus2, A sus4, which the pinky comes on the 3rd fret of that B string, back to A. And that's the same for the ending of that. You come back to the A sus2, you go 2 to 4, pop the third finger back in to go 2 to 4 again. And that's that whole part. There's really not a lot else of that song. There's a bit of a solo. There's a bridge that goes, F when I turn back now, it was, and that's F, B flat, and C. So you could just play power chords for that. Again, follow the link, and you get all this material for you there for you. Yeah, so that's two. I just thought those were two very, very Canadian songs that, and any Canadians watching might be go, well, maybe shouldn't I be doing some Tragically Hip? That's another very Canadian band. But I wanted to take artists that maybe had a little bit more worldwide recognition. But there's so many Canadian bands through the years that were huge, like Steppenwolf, Thin Lizzy, Bachman Turner Overdrive. A lot of course, everybody knows Nickelback, Avril Lavigne, Shania Twain, Alanis Morissette, who broke all kinds of records with that Jagged Little Pill. It'd be fun to do some of her riffs at some point too. But anyway, so I just wanted to pick. But Bryan Adams was very important to my life when I was a teenager and learning to play guitar. Specifically, that record. I think it were just songs that were relatively easy to play for a beginner, and they were really, really fun. Let's see. So the other thing I was thinking might be fun to do would be, and I know that this is very different because, and a lot of people might think, oh, why would you go from Bryan Adams to Shawn Mendes? Or I could do Bieber. But you know what? All of these guys there's tons of educational stuff to be learned in their songs, right? As there is in just about any song. But the one reason I thought about this one is I've been teaching it to students in person a bit. But what I really like about it is he's playing these tenths. So it's part of like an A minor chord, like a big A minor bar chord, but he's only playing the 6th string and the 3rd string, both on the 5th fret. So it's an interval of a tenth. It's very cool, right? Cool sound. So I'm actually using my 2nd finger and my 3rd finger. So my middle finger and my. Then I come back to looks like it would be actually part of this big G chord. But again, I'm only playing 10th, so I have my 1st finger on the 3rd fret of that low E. And then I have my 3rd finger on the 4th fret. Oh, it's actually saying he's suffering from bar chords. Can you please suggest some practice tips? Yeah, one second. Actually, I'll come back to that for sure, because especially talking about, well, there's a lot of songs with bar chords, but I think in that Bryan Adams one, I believe the F, B flat, and C. They might be power chords, but they might be the full. I think they might be the full chord actually. So yeah, so we'll come right back to that. I'll just finish this riff really, really quick, because there's only 3 chords, so we're almost done anyway. It's just this A and C, so 5th fret of my 6th and 3rd string, back to 3rd fret and 4th fret of 6th and 3rd string, then back, bring that up, I'll hold up to give us an F chord, and that's it. So we have this. I like that rhythm too. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Playing on 1. The end of 2. 1, 2, and 3, 4. I'm playing again on 4. It's a really cool rhythm. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that's that. I won't lie to you. But no. Anyway, I just love those tenths. I thought I would show that, and then the chorus actually is connected to a strum series I just did for anybody that follow along that strum series. Anyway, follow the link below. The material is there, and you can learn the rest. So actually, yeah, isn't that cool? Actually, it's like that song, and it's a great tune, and I love that rhythm. I've always been one in my my whole life, and I think it started fairly young for me that like I love all types of music, and I do not like I don't like when I hear people kind of, you know, really not really being vocal about. I mean, obviously we're allowed to not like certain types of music, but you know, to say certain types of music are garbage or it's, I don't know, that never made any sense to me. It's 12 tones. Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but let's work on some bar chords, because you said you would like some help with that. So, and I'm sure that is something that applies to lots and lots of people, right? So, let's take a look at the bar chord. So let's take a quick look at where it comes from. We'll look at the big 6-string bar chord. So it's basically built on this E chord. I don't know if you know this E, but I always teach, when I teach very new students, I always teach this E minor chord first. It's a very easy chord. Well, sometimes it depends. Sometimes I teach C, A minor, E minor. All my friends are heathens, take it slow. That's a cool tune going C, da na na, A minor, where to go. Anyway, for some easy chords. But so E minor is just the 2 fingers on the 2nd fret of your 4th and 5th string, right? E major, we need to have this G sharp, which is the 1st fret of your 3rd string. So I'm going to put my 1st finger on that, and then David, how are you, David? Good to see you. How are you doing? How's your health? I know you had spent a little time in the hospital, right? All good? Yeah, me too, David. I love all kinds of music, and you know what? I think music, different styles appeal to different people, and of course, obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion to not like something. I just mostly don't. I don't like when people like really make fun of a type of music, because it's to me, even if we're talking about what, you know, we hear kind of pop music made fun of a lot too, but there's a lot of work goes into that. Feeling better. Oh, good, David. That's awesome. Good to have you back in here. So I don't know if you just came in, David. We did a couple Bryan Adams songs, because it's Canada Day here in Canada. Canada is celebrating its 150th birthday. Yes, very, very young country. But anyway, I thought we should do some Canadian artists. So we did a little, I got my first real 6-string. Little Bryan Adams. We Summer '69, because everybody knows it. But I also had to do this one. Run to You, because when I was a kid, that was like one of the first like guitar riffs I ever learned. So it was big. So I thought, I can't not do that one. And then we went on to do a little bit of Shawn Mendes, which I know that's what got us on that conversation. Very different than Bryan Adams, but it had these cool tenths. So anyway, we went over that. And now actually it's just asking about bar chords. So let's come back. So we have this E major chord, right? I'm going to play that same chord with fingers 2, 3, 4. Yeah, Rush. And when I was getting material together, how'd that go? That's a great one, right? Was it I can't remember it now. But that would take, grabbing a Rush tune would probably take a whole stream, if not a series of streams. But yeah, Rush was an amazing band. Actually, the Reggie, who is part of Trip Views, and I've played with for years in these other bands. He was in a Rush tribute band for years, which is cool. And he was Getty. That was really cool. Anyway, okay. Sorry, actually, I keep. So we have this E chord with fingers 2, 3, and 4. So I have 2 on the 3rd fret of your 3rd string. I have my 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of my 5th string for B, and my pinky right underneath it on the 2nd fret of my 4th string. This is an E chord. So here's where we're going. If I were to pull this forward, my 1st finger would become the nut. So you know, if you have a capo, if I take a capo and I bar it on the 1st fret, and I just play what was my E chord and I move it up, it's then an F chord. But if we don't have a capo, essentially the 1st finger is acting like a capo. That's what's happening with the bar chord, right? This particular one, which is taught a lot as the 1st bar chord because it's F, and right, we use it a lot. But this is probably the hardest place to play it on the whole guitar, because this is the hardest place to press down because we're so close to the nut, right? So just the physics of pushing a string so close to the nut. So as we move up, it gets a lot easier. So a couple things that I would say actually to help with these bar chords. I'll do it in fifth to give us an A chord. One thing is you might already know your power chord, right? That's the beginning of the bar chord anyway. And then I can put my third finger in to make it a slightly bigger power chord. Now, if I bring, here's the most important note to make that power chord go from a power chord to a major chord. I need to hear this C sharp on the 6th fret of that 3rd string. Now, at this point, it doesn't really matter if I'm barring 1 and 2. I have the 3 notes that make up an A chord. I have a root, an A. I have a C sharp, the 3rd. And there's our 10th, by the way, when we were doing the Shawn Mendes a minute ago. Right, we had this G. If I move it up, there's A. So that's kind of connected to what we were just doing a second ago. So anyway, I'll put my power chord back in there. So I now have the three notes of an A chord: A, C sharp, and E, because A and E is your power chord, right? A power chords are written as A5, A, B, C, D, E. So it means it's an A and an E. That's your A power chord. When you drop the pinky in underneath that 3rd finger, it's just another A. It's an octave, which if anybody was in the live stream a week or 2 ago, we did Zeppelin and we did forget it. I'm not going to try to sing that. But that was an octave in Immigrant Song. So anyway, so root, 5th, root again, and then there's the all-important 3rd to make it A major. If we hear those 3 notes, or 4 notes, because remember I have 2 A's in there, we're hearing what we need to hear. It doesn't really matter if the 1st finger is barred across those 2 strings or not, because all they're doing is playing another E and another A. Obviously, it'll give us a bigger sound because we now have a 6 strings ringing as opposed to 4, but you don't need it to hear what you need to hear an A chord. So that's important actually when you remember that. So if the 1st finger is not laying across those first 2 and sounding, don't worry about it. It really just has to get this 6th string. So it doesn't even have to be barring. So what happens here is when you practice it like this, you're kind of getting your hand laying like that. So even if the hand isn't comfortable with pushing down and getting those notes to ring, you are getting your hand used to the position of a bar chord, which is super important. And you have to remember that the hands will get stronger all the time. Every day you play the guitar, your hands are getting stronger. So that bar chord is going to get easier to hold even if you don't like actively push to make it sound correct. And I'm really big on this, and I say this to students in person a lot, because sometimes if we're like trying to play this A bar chord and we're trying to get every string to ring and it's not ringing and it's getting frustrating, we don't want to even play that chord. So we just skip it. We go back to open chords and we're like, I hate bar chords. But if you play it where you're really just focused on your 1st finger playing that 1 note, and then the power chord, which I'm kind of assuming we maybe know, and then the 3rd finger is in on the C sharp, which is, that's okay to play. I'm in the position to play a full bar chord. Whether my 1st finger is actually pressing or not doesn't matter. So I can, and then eventually, as my hand gets stronger, I'll be able to play that. Now I'm going to show you a reverse thing to work on this same thing. And if you work on these 2 things together, you'll be playing your bar chord in no time without any trouble. Now, I will just say this before I go to the thing I was just going to tell you. If we want to make this A major and minor chord, this finger does have to go away. Now we have a bit of a problem because now we do need that 1st finger to be pressing on that 3rd fret. So that A minor is going to be a lot tougher than the A major. But again, don't worry about it for just a second because I have another way around that also. So let's go look at the other way we can play this same A chord. So we're playing the bar chord, but we started on the 6th string, right? How are you doing? Actually, are you still with me? How are you, David, with your bar chords? You've played a while. You're probably okay with your bar chords. And who else was in here a minute ago? Haley, you still in here? So here's the other way to play it. I'm going to start the other way around. I'm going to put my 1st finger, and I'm just going to have it bar strings 1 and 2. I'm on the 5th fret. So I'm not going to have it bar the whole. I'm just going to have it bar 1 and 2. That's weird enough when you're learning to bar, right? It's barring across 2 strings. Then I'm going to put my 3rd finger on that same C sharp. And this is a triad that I... Yeah, cool, David, good. I kind of figured because you'd played a while. So that's just a triad. In this case, it's a 1st inversion A triad, which I talk about in other lessons. And stuff. Now I can, so that's tricky enough when you're not used to barring anything, but it's a lot easier than barring the whole chord, right? You're just barring 2 strings, and it gets you used to barring 2 strings with 1 finger. And then I put my 2nd finger in on that 6th fret to give me a C sharp to make it an A chord. Now, if I put my 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, I have another A. So actually on strings 2, 3, 4, I have an A major triad in root. A, C sharp, E. So now, I almost have my full bar chord here. I have 4 notes of the 6. So I can work on just playing this. So that's another great way. Now you have 2 pieces. You have the bottom part you're practicing like this, and you have the top part you're practicing like this. So if you notice, if I take my pinky and put it where my 3rd finger is, and then put my 3rd finger back on the 5th fret of, or 7th fret of that 5th string, now I have the full bar chord missing just that low A, right? So I can practice that. That's a little bit tough to hold, but once you are getting that, you are so close to just playing the whole thing. And remember that by practicing in these 2 separate pieces, where you practice the lower part and you practice the higher part, you're strengthening your hand, especially that 1st finger, to be able to press down like that, right? And the last thing I'll say about that A minor shape, remember we said you have that major shape, you would take away the middle finger, you have minor. I will actually take the middle finger and I actually put it over top of my index and I press. I put a little bit of pressure to make it easier to get that 3rd string to ring. Because oddly enough, about this major and minor chord, the 3rd, there's only 1 3rd, and it happens to be on the 3rd string. That's just coincidental. Depending, we could have meant to another, but the rest are just roots and 5ths. So if we look at this A chord, so our root is A, right? We have an A on the 6th string, an A on the 4th string, an A on the 1st string. E is the 5th, A, B, C, D, E. We have an E on the 5th string and an E on the 2nd string. So we actually only have 1 3rd, 1 C sharp. So if we do not hear that 3rd string, if for whatever reason it's not ringing, it's like that, we're really just hearing a giant power chord. I need to hear that C sharp for it to be major, and I need to hear this C natural for it to be minor. Major. What is that making me think of? Oh, I'm not playing the riff right, but it's making me think of that 311 song that started with an organ that went boom, 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 boom. Can't remember how the riff went. I don't think that's the right key. Maybe that's why I'm not remembering it. Anyways, a 311 tune. I can't. It was a really cool tune though. Anyway, it just started with an organ holding a major chord, I don't know, for a measure or 2. I can't remember how long, just holding it, no rhythm, and then turned into a minor chord. Major chord, minor chord. I thought it was cool. And then the riff came in and dump, dump, dump. I can't really remember how the riff went. What's funny is I think when I started the site in 1999, I believe that riff was in that very beginning series of lessons I did, which would mean it's still on the site somewhere. which is interesting, but probably buried, because a lot of those members lessons I did got forgotten about as the site changed through the years. So they're online, but they're hard to find. And the search engines don't find them because they're in a password protected part of the site. So you can't even get into them. But since I've been back working on the site like crazy, I'm actually digging through a lot and finding a lot of them, a lot of the older lessons, and bringing them forward back into the new thing. And I'm going to do videos on them. I'm having trouble with this is why I'm mostly just live streaming lately and not doing a lot of videos, because my computer that I did my videos on died, and my iPhone is old. It's an old iPhone, and so I don't really have a very good system for making videos now. But as soon as I get that sorted out, I'm going to do, I'm not sure which, but it's either going to be a 30, a 60, or a 90-day video challenge where I'm going to do 90 videos in 90 days. Or 30, and 30 would be, I don't know, I might go for 90. I might go for 90. And it's just kind of a challenge to myself, and kind of to really do a little push on YouTube, and kind of just yeah, I'm really up for it. But obviously I need my system back in place, because it has to be easy for me to be able to sit down, make a video, and go, not have to set up stuff. So I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. Anyway, that brings me back to the reason I say that is because I'm bringing all that old content back onto the site. So I'll redo a lot of those old videos that don't look very good because of the old camera. And then in some of those lessons, there was never a video made, because obviously you couldn't even put video on my site, like 99 to 2006 or whenever YouTube kind of started. It wasn't even possible to. David says 90 for sure. It's quite a challenge. It'd be quite a challenge, wouldn't it? But I think it would be. I think it would be huge for the channel. Probably huge for musiclearning.com. I think it would create a lot of activity, and probably good for these streams to get more people in these streams. And myself, I think it would be an amazing challenge. And I think if I committed myself to it and I did it, I think I would be very proud of myself for doing a video a day for 90 days. And it's not that crazy. There's a lot of guitar instructors doing a video a day on YouTube, so it's not like it's not possible. It's just take a little bit of planning on my part. The biggest thing for me, because I can make videos for the most part relatively quickly, but I have to have it so that I can just sit, turn the camera on, and go plug my stuff in. So that's what I have to sort out, and I'm not sure what my plan is for that at the moment, as far as whether I should buy a new computer or, yeah, more content. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot better since the Roxy ended with content, but certainly not doing one day, which would be really cool and really fun. So let's see. So actually, how did that work out for you? Do you have some ideas there? Probably the biggest takeaway from that is you just have to have patience with yourself, and get the shape in place, even if it's not ringing very well, even if it's, even if most of it sounds like that, because you're training your hand to get in that position and stay in that position. And it won't be that long, I promise you. And more of that chord will start sounding better and better until eventually all 6 strings are ringing. That's probably the biggest key with the power chord stuff. Awesome. I'm glad that was helpful, and I'm glad you asked. I've never done a video or anything on that, and that would be a very good thing to do a video on too, right? I realize these live streams are kind of odd because a lot of times there's a lot of content covered in one live stream, so I don't think it makes it very easy to go back into the live streams to find the content. And I have had the thought of going back into each live stream and then, marking at the 5-minute mark. I talk about power chords at the 6-minute mark. But obviously now this is quite a few live streams since I started doing the live stream. So it would be just a lot of work even to go back and do all that. But who knows? I might. One of the most interesting things I'm finding with where I'm at this point in my life and working on the site like I am and trying to really turn it into something that will pay my bills as I have wanted it to do since I started it. But you know, I play a lot of music, and I get sidetracked with bands and projects, and the site takes sometimes a backseat. But since the Roxy ended, I've done some soul searching, and this is really what I want to do. So I would really like to get it to a point where it is allowing me to work daily on it and pay my bills. Yeah, now I don't really remember. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So the most interesting thing about that has been, like, a lot of times I'll work on something quite big only to find it not, like, that takes a lot of my time, only to find it doesn't really work, like as far as driving traffic to it and through paid advertisements and stuff. And so it's been a very big learning curve, or anyway, it's been very interesting trying to figure out what people want exactly. I've been teaching a long time. You'd think I would know, but I mean, I do sort of, but yeah, anyway, it's interesting. But I find myself spending a lot of time making and doing stuff that doesn't, you know, really seem to get the results I thought it might. But that's okay. You know, it's all part of the learning thing. So it's all good. I don't mean to make it sound like I'm complaining. So let's see, what have we covered in this live stream? We did Summer 69, Run to You, Shawn Mendes tune, the bar chord, talking about the bar chord and how to get good at a bar chord. I guess that's about it, right? It's because we've talked about a couple different rhythms and stuff. So, yeah. So I don't know, anything, David, Akshay, anything you guys want to work on specifically while I'm here? Next week I think we're gonna devote the live stream to Triumph. Oh yes, yes, cool. You know what I did with this? I had actually learned a bit, and I don't even think I could play any of it at the moment. I can't even think how it goes because it's a few years ago. But one of my students who also went on to college to study guitar and is now playing around the city too, which is interesting. He's playing at the same club I was. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or 9 months ago, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And I was sitting like at a booth or something, and I was hearing this guitar playing. I go, man, that guy sounds pretty good. And then later when I got up, it was my ex-student. I was like, that's awesome. Anyway, he wanted to learn. What's the song? Midsummer Night Dream. Daydream. Do you remember this one song I'm talking about? I can't think at all how it goes. Anyway, we spent, I don't know, a month or something each week, and that's all we worked on was that tune. I was a big Triumph fan too in high school. Anyway, it's really cool. Yeah, I don't know any right off the top of my head, David, but that would be really cool to do one of those too. Is there a tune in particular that I would love to do? I would love to do the Midsummer's Night. I mean, I can't remember what the title is exactly. Midsummer's Night. It's just that instrumental thing. It's really pretty though. That would be a really cool lesson. But again, falls into the stuff like how many people, you know, I mean, I know, David, that you have interest, but how many people, you know, want it, right? And this has been some of the you know, there's only so many hours in a day, and anyway, I don't know. Actually, this is a great moment when we find someone which has been with us in the past. Actually, I think you told me last week or so. How long have you been playing? Oh, the Canada Day thing. Yeah, for sure. We might have to wait for next Canada Day next year, David. Where are you at again, David? I remember you told me too. I want to say Australia, but that's because Melbourne is in. Here's your last name, but I don't think it was Australia. Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, that I found my ex-student. Yeah, wasn't that cool? Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, it was awesome, and I didn't even know he was playing there. So, yeah, it was really cool. Jamil, he sounded great too. Can't remember what the name of his band was. Again, I should. But you're near Detroit, David. Yeah. I used to play at Harpo's off 90 in Detroit, or the outskirts of Detroit. Is Harpo still there? I used to play that fairly regularly, that place. I actually have a lot of crazy stories about Harpo's. don't think we'll get into them now, but a lot of interesting nights there. I remember the first. I mean, one of my biggest memories of Harpo's, though. I think it was the first time I played there, and I was probably only 19 or 20, and at that point I was touring, and the gear got all loaded in the back door, and then yeah, actually, yeah, you know what would be a really cool idea? I'm gonna come right back to the Detroit story. Sorry, I'll finish that, but I just actually saying you'd like to hear some of my ex-students. That would be awesome. It would be really cool if I get a hold of those guys, find out their band names, and put some links up somewhere, right? So people can check out what they're doing, because they're both of those two guys are doing some really cool stuff. But anyway, so in Detroit, so we loaded our gear in, and I was coming out the back door. So the gear was, they have a security at the back door when you're loading in and out, and the gear was all in, and I was headed out the back door and was starting to walk across the parking lot, and the security said, "Excuse me, where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, I was going to go to that little corner store there." And he said, "Are you feeling lucky?" So apparently, so I didn't go to the store. They said, if you need something, you should order it. So we ordered food. Yeah, I think I know I played more than Harpo's in Detroit, but Harpo's was the main one I played the most. It was a big room. It was a cool room. It had a super high stage, like a crazy high stage. Like, I mean, if you were like standing right at the front of the stage, you would actually be looking up like that. It was fun though, being on that stage. Yeah, good times. Yeah, 994. Yeah, I was thinking I was off 90, but yeah, probably 94. Oh yeah, because 90 I think ran. I lived in the States for 13 years, and I lived in Cleveland, Ohio, and I toured for years through the States. Yeah, I can't remember my highways as well as I once could. Yeah, so did you do a lot of playing too, David? Yeah, I don't remember Andrews. Love to be back on the Harpo stage again. Life is funny that way, that you don't realize the last time you're doing something that it might be the last time you're doing it when you're doing it, you know? There's a lot of those stages that I've played through the years that I played fairly often and really just kind of took for granted how cool those stages were, and then always thinking that I would be back to them, but maybe I still will be, you know, I don't know. You know, I guess that's the other weird part about life, right? You don't know where you're going either. Like, anything is possible there too. But it's been a long time since I've been on those stages now. It made me think of the Newport in Columbus. That was another really cool stage. The Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia was a really cool stage and a cool room. I know the Newport Music Hall's still there. It's been there a long time. Pink Floyd played the Newport on their very first American tour. Anyway, I'm just kind of babbling on about whatever. So, probably I think I'm gonna get off of here, unless you guys want to go over anything, which I'm totally game, like for another 10 minutes. Otherwise, I think I might get back busy on the site. I've been doing this thing called the 20 years since you played out, but that's cool. You were playing out. I've been doing this thing called the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 25 minutes and you break for 5, work for 25, break for 5, work for 25, break for 5, and then you take a longer break, then you repeat it. It's been working quite well for me. So I think 25 minutes is not a very long period of time, and you know that at the 5 minutes you're supposed to stop and like get up and move around, you know, do something else. And then of course, with only being a 5-minute break, it's not a long enough break that your mind has left what you were doing. So it's called the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro. Anyway, it's actually been working quite well for me, because I'm pretty focused for the 25 minutes, and then the 5-minute break, which goes by super quick. I basically just get up and do a little bit of cleaning, or but anyway, so that's my plan for today. I have to play tonight, so I'm going to try to get, for this afternoon, I'm going to see if I can get a couple of these Pomodoro sessions in place over the course of these next few hours. So actually, good luck with those bar chords, and I'll probably maybe see you in your next week, right? Where we'll do some Linkin Park stuff, and you can let me know how the bar chord's going. Yeah, and David, as always, it's great to have you in here. I love learning about everybody and what everybody's up to and what's going on, and it's kind of fun. I love the sense of community that is slowly but surely being built. So yeah, so anyway, so I think I'm going to sign off. I'm going to get busy. The stuff we talked about today, yeah, cool, actually, awesome. The stuff we talked about today is in that limited access membership right now. I'm going to go, as soon as I log off here, I'm going to clean it up a little bit so it's a little bit easier to find, because I did it haphazardly. So if you go into the riffs and songs now, you'll find one for Treat You Better, the Shawn Mendes. You'll find one for Summer '69, and you'll find one. Oh, we didn't even do the Heart of Gold. We were going to do Heart of Gold. There's one for Heart of Gold. But I'm going to combine them on a page, and that's what I'm going to do right now. So when you're on that members page, when you scroll down to the next live stream, I'm going to put it right. I'm going to put just a big link in there. I actually have some ideas how I'm going to change this whole thing, because it's getting a little messy and a little out of hand, and I have some ideas. So I think there's just going to be one button. It's going to take us to a live stream page that will then list all the past live streams and what those live streams covered, or approximately for now. Like I said, that's going to be rather time consuming. And yes, I think that is all. So hey, thanks you guys for being in here again. Fantastic, very, very cool. Next Saturday we'll do some Linkin Park, and yeah, very cool, eh? Okay, guys. Well, have a good day or night, whatever time you're at there, and well, goodbye, and we'll see you guys next Saturday. And again, be sure to log in. Click the link below. If you're watching this on a replay, you can register for free, and you'll find this material, and then you'll also be ready for next week's live stream. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for being in here. 2 a.m. Oh yeah, you're in India, right, Akshay? Yeah, it's almost 2. Thanks for staying up late. That's awesome, amazing, very, very cool. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I am going to open up different live stream times, so I will find something that's going to work better for other parts of the world. I'm just sticking with this for the time as I kind of get some other pieces in place. But I promise you, once those pieces are in place, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to do some other times. Like I might even do like a 10 o'clock my time, so it'll be like 10 in the morning your time, something like that. But we'll see. We'll have to see how I'm going to figure that out exactly. But you'll know. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good one, and we'll see you next Saturday.